Hey traders, hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. Wanted to provide a quick update on the MJ sector, breaking down the charts to see what we can anticipate in the coming week. Today we'll be looking at Canopy Growth Corporation, ticker symbol WEED. And before we get into the analysis portion of the video, wanted to talk a little bit fundamental, not really what we like to do here, but um, it's something to note. And we did have some positive news coming out from the US on Friday with Trump backing the state level marijuana regulations, which I'm sure, as everyone saw in the final hours of Friday, it helped spike basically the entire sector, and everything was looking green for the day. So with that said, let's look into the technicals and see what we can kind of make out and what we can expect in the coming week. So quickly, want to look at the hourly just to kind of break down what's been happening here. So obviously in the beginning of the month, we had a lot of consolidation, lots of pullback before we found our low of $23.88. And then we had a slight rally. And then after this rally, we kind of went into this tightening hourly range here. So over this hourly range, we found our high at 28.46. And basically for the next, couple days, we were in this tightening range. We had our low set here, another high, higher low, higher high, and it looked like we were kind of breaking out of this tightening range and looking towards the upside, which didn't play out. We had this doji bearish, sorry, not doji. We had this spinning top candlestick, which eventually broke down before we found our next low at 27.48, and then we had another high, double bottom here, and then we had our mini spike here. And one thing to note with this spike, there wasn't really a ton of volume behind it when you actually look at it. I'm seeing 339,000, so it wasn't really anything intense, which I think a lot of people were weary of this break to see what would happen. But once we saw this high break of 28.46, you can see the huge follow through here. We had over 3 million traded in a single hour, which essentially got us to our high of 30.65. And if we look back, we haven't had this kind of volume in basically in a long time. So once we set our high of 30.65, we had in the final hours an inside bar form. So something to kind of take a look at and keep note of is that if we do break this high here of 30.19, we can definitely see some further upside and continuation, and vice versa. If we see a break of 29.19, we'll definitely see some more consolidation in a period, to get that higher low and kind of keep this momentum going here. So looking at the weekly and the longer term time frames, we can see kind of very similar to kind of what's happening on the daily. We found our high a long time ago. This is our all-time high. We found our low, lower high, higher low. Now we really have to set a higher high to kind of change this pattern and kind of keep going in the favor that we want. And even from the longer term perspective, when you look at it, we've had this huge move here, basically in all of last year, and now we have this flag pattern forming, and which looks to be good. It is some positive signs from this flag pattern. And a couple things to note is that we have been building these bases of higher lows, as you can see, which is definitely a good sign. And on top of that, we've had here really a higher high break as well. So really with this move, what we want to see is another higher high to really indicate that we are going to be changing this reverse on the longer time frames. But that'll take a little bit of time before we start to see that pan out. But from a monthly time perspective, if we can hold this low here of 23.88, and most importantly, the low of $20.85. Things should still look good, and will probably be maybe a little bit more choppy, but towards more on the bullish side. If we do break this $20.85, then that's a very key level, and if we do break that, we will see some more pullback, more consolidation. That probably heading all the way into the summer. So definitely two key levels to watch on the longer time frames. In the meantime, and for finally the daily, just to kind of look at some quick levels here. So again, very similar that we saw in the weekly and the monthly. We've set, our high, low, and higher high here. So we're still trying to continue this pattern. But what we can see here on the Friday is we did have, that upper wick of profit taking, which you can see, shows a lot of buyers, that are wanting to hold, because the upper wick is not really that big, which shows that people want to hold through the week. Obviously, with all the positive news that we've had from the U.S. side of things, a lot of people are betting that next week we can see some more continuation and upside. And if, in my opinion, I would agree with some of those people. It is a more of a safer play to hold into the weekend, just because the news was in the final hours of the week. So obviously, a lot of people didn't digest it yet. But with the weekend, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wanting to get in. So for the Monday, we could potentially see a gap up, with a possible, flush of profit taking in the morning. Of a lot of those buyers wanting to take their profits. And just to, when you look at this move here, we've had a low of $23.88 with a high of $30.65. So that's about a 25% plus move. So it's a little overextended. And with that said, I can definitely see a higher low being set somewhere, hopefully here. And then if we want to change this, we'll want to see a higher low, higher high break, and see this pattern kind of go in favor of the bulls here. But like I said, with the move, we can expect some consolidation before we start to see anything go in favor of the bulls. And one thing to note, is that we are in a descending triangle here. So you can see with the all-time high being set, since then, basically we've had kind of two touches here. It's not exact, but really two touches here. And since then, we kind of haven't tested this high. So I do expect this trend line to be tested at some point, to indicate that we could potentially break this. So in terms of just some short-term levels to look at, like I mentioned on the hourly, we have the inside bars formed. So for some quick levels, we can look at support at $29.19, $29.05, and $28.46 as the next levels of support. In terms of resistance, I would look at $30 psychologically, $30.65, and then $31.35 as the next levels of resistance. So we'll see what happens. Looking forward to Monday in the week and see what's coming up. Thanks again for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoy what you saw, please like, share, subscribe for more chart breakdowns. Have a great week. Take care.